There is some new information about a digital euro, the CBDC that the European Central Bank is building out. There's some new information that is leading me to believe that the technology that they are using could be XRP, and I want to show you that. There's also some new stuff coming to light about Hidden Road and how RLUSD is going to be used to support that. We're also going to look at some of the biggest use cases around the world right now for RLUSD and what problems does that solve. Let's go ahead and start here, though. This is going to be some of the benefits that, people or businesses could see from a central bank digital currency. Let me play it.
How would a digital euro benefit payment service providers? A digital euro could boost European payment service providers like banks and bring them new business opportunities. Here's how. 1. Payment service providers could distribute a digital euro and be the main point of contact with the people and retailers who use it. 2. There would be fair compensation models for providers distributing a digital euro, as well as safeguards for financial stability, like digital euro holding limits. And 3, a digital euro would harmonize European standards, enabling payment service providers to expand their services across borders to cover the entire euro area. Overall, a digital euro would make our European payment system more competitive and innovative, preserving our strategic autonomy and reducing our dependence on non-European providers.
So there are some of the use cases that are being put forward that are for the plus for, European Central Bank or a digital euro. But, there are negatives, right? There are people that worry that they're going to give too much control to the government. They can see our transactions and they might be able to freeze transactions. That's all not only a very real possibility, but that is probably going to happen. This is, if you take a look at China's CBDC, they are using that CBDC to control most of the population. So what is that going to be? Is Europe going to use that like a tool like the Chinese government is, or will it be a little different? That's still up in the air. But let me go ahead and play this new clip with Christine Lagarde with Wolfgang, and they're going to talk about the digital euro CBDC.
Many people are a little worried about what will happen to them with the digital euro. Can you encourage them? Why is the digital euro good for people like you and me?
A digital currency where it has been piloted, and there is only one which is clearly now launched in a very small country, but it is piloted on a fairly large scale in China, is of use and of service to all citizens. So it is not something that is good for the elite or is good for the young or is good for some versus others. If it is well done and if it is well implemented, it would be of service to all citizens.
It will be of service to all citizens. So that's the message here. And so I wanted to take a look at, what type of evidence does Perplexity see that the European CBDC could be built out on the XRP, the XRP ledger or a private ledger. So there is some strong evidence that the European Central Bank is actively building and testing its digital euro CBDC on the XRP ledger and related private ledger infrastructure. In June 2025, the ECB launched a 12-month digital euro pilot program that explicitly uses the XRP ledger as its primary infrastructure, with the White Network serving as a secondary platform to enhance compliance and resilience. The pilot involves over 500 financial institutions and is designed for test real-time settlement, cross-border payments, and regulatory compliance at scale. It also says some key details here. ECB delivering high throughput 1,500 transactions per second and a sub 5-second finality, which meets the institutional requirements. So the ECB put out certain requirements that a blockchain must fulfill, and the XRP ledger does fulfill what they are looking for. The pilot restricts each transaction to a maximum of 10,000 euros for safety and manageability during the test. The ECB's approach includes phase testing, infrastructure validation, institutional integration, and full-scale testing across regulated financial networks. Here's also something that's brand new, or that we just found out about recently. Axiology's distributed ledger trading and settlement system, built on a modified open source version of the XRPL's code and operating as a private permissioned network, has also been selected for the European Central Bank's wholesale DLT sandbox. This system is used for a regulated digital bond process and demonstrates full compliance with EU regulations, KYC, AML, FID, and then that's MIFID2. And then this marks the most public and large-scale use of the XRP ledger for regulated financial applications by the European Central Bank member states. And experts suggest that the successful outcomes could lead to a broader adoption of the XRPL's based infrastructure for digital euros and other compliant digital asset platforms. While the ECB has previously explored other distributed ledger technologies such as Corda, that's more of a privacy-focused proof of concept. The current pilot is unique in its scale and its explicit selection of the XRPL and a private ledger setup for both retail and wholesale CBDC testing. In summary, the European Central Bank, specifically the digital euro, is currently being piloted on the XRP ledger and private permission versions of the XRP ledger. Boom. So there you go. There's the information. Will they choose it at the end? That is the biggest question. We do know they are testing it though. Like if we're trying to solve the question of, are they testing it? The answer is yes. Yes, they are. Crypto Eerie put this out. CEO Brad Garlinghouse during the Singapore press conference stated stablecoin RLUSD from Ripple can be used as collateral for all services at Hidden Road, emphasizing that RLUSD will be the first stablecoin enabling efficient large-scale cross-margin trading between virtual assets and traditional financial markets, with its particular strength in being 24/7 year-round availability. And then I also wanted to I wanted to play this video first because it speaks to a larger purpose for RLUSD, and then I want to give you some of the biggest use cases for RLUSD and what that can solve globally. Let me play this first.
I'll take the second question first. I do think having a multi-chain strategy is critical to stablecoins, right? We're building stablecoins for the future widespread adoption by institutions, and I think the use cases that are obvious today around global payments, for example, around capital markets, et cetera, are only going to expand. And because chains tend to have biases to them or are built for certain purposes, just like the XRP ledger, really purpose built for payments and tokenization, there are other chains that do other things, right? And so we want to have a stable coin that can serve the needs of different users, whether they're on one chain or another. In terms of the stablecoin business more broadly, clearly it's a competitive space. There's stablecoins that feels like being issued every day. I go back to utility and I look at the stablecoin landscape, and different stablecoins are targeted really to service different end users. There could be, there's a lot of talk about banks issuing stablecoins. I think of those as really serving an interbank sort of ecosystem where you could be a settlement token within Citigroup, for example, and even a PayPal, focusing on their payments network. There are other stable coins like ours that have a little bit of a broader remit. And so I think that there will be more stable coins to come, and some will be specialized in terms of their use case. Others will be more broad, but what they do take advantage of is the underlying technology, which really become programmable money that are more efficient to move, that are more, if they're, particularly if they're regulated, et cetera, can be more transparent and have certain advantages. And so we invite more competition. We think it's going to be good for the industry. It's going to open up more use cases. But there are a lot of differences within the stablecoin issuers.
All right. And then here are some other use cases here. We're talking about RL stablecoin is already proving a highly impactful for digital asset industry. Talking about rapid growth and adoption. RLUSD has seen explosive growth and its supply increasing by 47% in June 2025 alone. So almost 50% growth in 1 month. Gotta say that this is actually moving along pretty nicely. I know some of you, come into the live streams and say, Sensei, it's not moving fast enough. I understand that we want it now, but realistically, when I take a look at the data here, this is pretty good growth month over month. Now, if they can do this 2 or 3 more times in the month of in the year 2025, we could be, multi-billion going into next year. And I really think that is a possibility here. So right now we're at 455 million. Institutional integration, major financial institutions and exchanges, including Amina Bank and BitMEX Kraken, LMAX Digital and Bitstamp have integrated RLUSD for custody trading and margin collateral. Hidden Road is a leading global prime broker, is using RLUSD as collateral for all its services, enabling efficient cross-margin trading between virtual assets and traditional financial markets. It also says regular clarity and trust. We know that the US is moving towards that. We don't really need to talk about that too much. Interoperability and network effects. RLUSD's presence for both Ethereum and XRP Ledger, with plans to further multi-chain integration, demonstrates a commitment to the interoperability and positions as a bridge between different blockchain ecosystems. So here are the biggest use cases: cross-margin and prime brokerage, cross-border payments, obviously, DeFi integrations and use cases, on and off ramps for treasury management, tokenization of real-world assets, NGO and aid distribution. So if you're trying to get money to a certain place of the world very quickly, the best way to do that is stable coins. If you're using the old system, it could take days for that money to clear. But if you're using a stable coin or XRP, that value can be transacted instantly and then aid can be given. I mean, there's really some cool use cases here that I think we're going to spend a little bit more time on in the future and deep diving in. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I hope you have a great weekend. This is being recorded on a Saturday. Might come out today, might come out tomorrow, but I wish you all the best. And I'll see you on Tuesday for my live stream at 3:30 live on YouTube. Bye. Nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Please seek financial advice if you need it. Let's get back to the video.